It's open season on fandoms nowadays in all entertainment, not just comic books, but Marvel Comics certainly are a part of that. And recently, the fans let their voices be known about Sunspider, the handicapped Spider-Man character that's going to be floating around the city, with legs that are immobile. And it looks ridiculous. It's not a good concept. Marvel Comics and T. Franklin and Dan Slott heard you, but they did not hear what you said. Shockingly, they've ignored all the actual feedback and decided it's time to talk down to customers, attack them a little bit, and maybe do a little bit of emotional blackmail. That is the flavor of the day when it comes to attacking customers. I know what you said. You know what I said. We said that the character was ridiculous, but that's not what they heard, because it's not about you and I. It's only about them and their virtue signaling and pandering and all the other nonsense going on with Marvel Comics. This is what old T. Franklin, the writer behind Sunspider, had to say on social media. Allow me to reintroduce Sunspider, aka Charlotte Weber, a disabled spider soda with EDS created by Dane Does Comics. Edge of Spider-Verse #4 in stores 9/21. Hashtag representation matters. And I want you to remember that part. Representation matters. I beg to differ on whether or not this is good representation regarding disabled heroes and perhaps even people with EDS. And they say, what is created by a fan? Fan, sure. Go look who actually created that and see if they're just your everyday, ordinary, run-of-the-mill fan. I think you'll be able to see through that ruse quite easily. In the past, there's been plenty of representation when it comes to disabled superheroes within the Marvel Comics universe. Think Professor X. He's in a wheelchair. We can think about Flash Thompson, a Spider-Man related character, doesn't have his legs, got the Venom symbiote. Obviously, the best known disabled superhero in the Marvel Universe is Daredevil, doesn't have the use of his eyes, but was able to take that disability and turn it into a strength. Same thing with Flash Thompson. He didn't have his legs, he gets the Venom symbiote, and now he's a greater person because of it. Now he's a superhero. Charles Xavier, Professor X, obviously is the best known, paralyzed superhero. He doesn't even need to use his physicality. He's so smart as far as his intellect, and he has his telepathic abilities and stuff that he doesn't even need to be able to walk to affect the world. And I think that's why those characters really caught on and were popular, because they were able to take their disabilities and turn them into strengths as far as the character goes. Sunspider is straight up pandering, and it's wildly uncreative. They haven't done anything interesting or cool with the character to make them powerful, but you're supposed to accept it because you have to, because the character is paralyzed. The writer's paralyzed. What are you thinking making fun of this stuff? T. Franklin went on to let us know Charlie's outfit is inspired by Janelle Monáe's BET appearance. It was beyond important for me to name Charlie's disability and not have it simply implied, just as it was equally important to not have her disability cured by her new powers. She's disabled, and it's a huge part of who she is as a student, friend, daughter, and superhero. So now we're getting to the part where we figure out what T. Franklin actually cares about. She just designed the character and put that dress on her so she could kiss some random singer's ass and be like, we put your dress on our disabled superhero. It's like, okay, good job. How many comic books is that going to sell? How many fans are going to be like, you know what? That's Janelle Monáe's dress from the BET Awards. Fuck, I got to get that comic book. No one cares. Wrong audience. And as far as naming the disability, who cares? If it goes into the story and it's mentioned, sure, that's part of the story. But to go out there and market the character in the story based on naming the disability, is that even going to sell a dozen new comic books, let alone 1,000, like you should be trying to do? This is just pandering and virtue signaling at the expense of a successful comic. It's absolutely ridiculous. As far as representation matters, this is what I found out from the Mayo Clinic, because I read up on EDS. People who have vascular Ehlers-Danlos syndrome often share distinctive facial features of a thin nose, thin upper lip, small earlobes, and prominent eyes. They also have thin, translucent skin that bruises very easily. Probably not good for a superhero. In fair-skinned people, the underlying blood vessels are very visible through the skin. If you look at the art that we have of Charlie themselves, you don't see any of those features belonging to the character. Representation matters to a degree, right? We named the disability, but we don't have to show people what it looks like or have a character that actually embodies what the disability is. She's got it. She just doesn't have it that bad. She just needs a walking chair kind of thing. Absolutely ridiculous. If representation mattered, why doesn't the character maybe have some of the symptoms beyond not being able to walk associated with the disease? Just more hollow virtue signaling on the part of Marvel Comics and T. Franklin. And then we got, guess who came to the dance? Good old Dan Slott. This is what he had to say. Fell down a rabbit hole of hate and ignorance. Having an award-winning disabled writer tell a story about a disabled spider hero who was created by a disabled fan is a good thing. That someone could spin that as a bad thing is mind-boggling to me. Dude, you literally just said disabled 3 times trying to describe the character and what you created here. Perhaps, just perhaps, we've pandered just a little bit too much on Sun Spider and bringing the character into the Edge of Spider-Verse. Just perhaps. Also, this is just lame-ass straw baiting right here. They know what we said, but they just choose to ignore it and say, you just hate disabled heroes. You just hate disabled writers. Rather than actually listening and saying, hey, I like disabled heroes. Daredevil's in my top 5. I happen to like Charles Xavier. Really big fan of Oracle over at DC Comics. That's my favorite version of Barbara Gordon. Let's just ignore all that stuff, the actual facts of the situation. You just hate somebody because this is all just lame-ass virtue signaling. And let's not forget who Dan Slott really is. This dude literally, because somebody, a friend of mine, went out there and read an article and then did a video about it, about something he didn't like. He went into his DMs knowing that he was a super big fan of Dan Slott personally and went in there and literally like bullied him using his public notoriety to literally beat somebody down into submission. Dan Slott is not the good guy here. He's not the good guy anywhere. I've got more stories about Dan Slott that I'm not going to share with you right now, but I can guarantee you Dan Slott is not the good guy any room that he walks in. He is an absolute asshole. That's just who he is. He also lets us know the character Sun Spider lives with EDS. This does not mean that they have no use of their legs. This is just plain old-fashioned emotional blackmail on the part of Dan Slott and T. Franklin. The character is disabled. You can't say anything about how ridiculous the character is. The writer is disabled. You can't say anything about what a terrible writer this person is. And everything that they put out so far in comic books has been absolutely disgusting. And because we're using this character to virtue signal, you're not allowed to mock anything or have any fun or just point out the fact that what a stupid idea this is. But Slott wasn't done. On another note, how is having a singing spider princess with lyrics written by actual Broadway music lessons a bad thing? How is the fact she'll be singing mean there won't be any action in the story? Have you seen movies starring singing princesses lately? They kick ass. I've read Spinstress's story. There's action left and right in it. And what if there wasn't? What if there were one story in an anthology that didn't have punching and kicking in it? Would that be so bad? That's not the case with Spinstress, but geez, motherfucker, you know damn well that the overwhelming majority of comic book readers, superhero readers, could give 2 shits less about a fucking princess. Who gives a fuck? Wow, a singing princess in a comic book? A static visual medium? What the fuck does that even bring to the table? You're just pandering to Disney at this point. Look, we created a new princess for you. Get out of here, you fucking soulless twat. Why are you still in comic books? But I digress. This is what these people do. They ignore their fans, the people actually paying them money, the reason that they can ply their craft and are getting paid, and they just go out there and try to find new audiences very ratably. Let's get a fucking princess into the Spider Universe. We need a handicapped hero that has EDS. We got to name that son of a bitch because that's going to move units. Of course, none of it's going to move units, but every time these dickheads speak, people just stop reading comic books because they realize just how fucking ridiculous these people are. They're like living personifications of fucking memes. They're living, walking memes. If you would like more information about Dan Slott going in and bullying people and just being a complete asshole, I actually did a full video about it. It's right here. Definitely check this out. Absolutely ridiculous. Dan Slott is not and never will be the good guy in comic books. If you're on a mobile device, there's a link in the video description.